Hello, all. How are you today? Hopefully, I'm not freezing too much. Our internet's being a little bit slow. Um, so today we are going to talk about healing self-sabotage. Okay, so let's get into it. First, what we want to do in today's session is it's all about healing these patterns of self-sabotage. So let's start off with a little grounding exercise. Um, okay, sorry, there was a pop-up on my screen. Let's start off with a little grounding exercise. So I want you all to take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for 3 seconds, and then exhale for 3 seconds. I want you to do that 3 times. And as you're doing that, I just want you guys to visualize a bright, lovely light. It could be white, it could be gold, whatever color feels good to you. And as you do that, think of it coming through down the top of your head, through your body, all the way down to your feet. And then what I want you guys to think about is roots growing from your feet, I can't speak, down into the earth. Okay, good. So let's just take a moment to settle in on that. Close your eyes for a moment, get comfortable. And I just want you to feel your breath. If it helps to be aware of your breath, you can put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Can't see my belly, but it helps. And just notice your breath for one moment and let yourself fully arrive into this space. Okay, good. It's always good to do that when we start a session just to kind of eliminate the distractions. A lot of us are going 50 miles an hour. Hopefully, you guys can see this. So, we're going to open up today with setting an intention. Setting an intention is really important. Um, we want to always set an intention anytime we're doing any sort of work, journaling, breath work, meditation. And I always like to set an intention when I'm coaching too. So, my intention today is for all of you to find peace and quickly get down to the root of some of the things that is causing you to have self sabotage. Um, and I'll give you guys a moment. You guys can pause me um, to go ahead and write down. Hopefully, you guys downloaded your worksheet I made for this session. If not, you can go back in the replays and I will post the file in there. I've already posted it in the Facebook groups as well. It's under files, so you guys can download it, print it. So that could be helpful. Okay. So we're also today going to go over some breath awareness. Breath work is really, really important. It really helps to calm our nervous system. It helps to break patterns of thought processes. It also helps us, our bodies and our minds to relax so can be present in the moment. So, let's go on understanding the framework of what self sabotage is, why we do it, which will also empower us to recognize the patterns of when we're doing it and then facilitating meaningful change. Okay. Okay. So, self sabotage. I want you guys to think of a recent situation you may have self sabotaged yourself. Um, like for me, um, today I like woke up and I was like, oh, I should work out. And I found lots of other things that I needed to get done that prevented me from working out today. I was also tired. The boys had a sleepover, um, which was fine. But that caused me to self sabotage me working out on my day off when I could actually work out longer and do my stretches and do my morning meditation. I didn't do any of that today. I did do my meditation just before this, so I was in a good place. But it really did kind of throw me off for the day. And so I want you guys to think of a situation recently that you self sabotaged. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to think about that situation and where is it on a level of feeling light or feeling heavy? Or if you want to think of it as your energetic vibration, which I talk about in some of my other classes and my other coaching sessions, um, is it making your vibration low or high? Okay. And what was the thought or the stimuli that triggered that self sabotage? Right? What thoughts went through your mind? What excuses went through your mind to want to sabotage yourself? And then maybe not want is the right word, but what came prior to that to make you sabotage yourself? Okay. Once you guys have that, I want you to think about what emotion followed that. Was it a good emotion? Did it make you feel better? Did it make you feel good in the moment? And then suddenly after, the emotions were really low. And then what urged that behavior, right? And did you have the ability to get yourself back on track? The same day, the same hour? How quickly were you able to move past that self sabotage and replace it or get back on track? Okay. So think about those things because those are really important things in order to start kind of narrowing down what stimuli, what thoughts go through our heads to instigate that self sabotage. So, self sabotage comes from ego. Okay. And I'm not talking about like male ego, something like that. Everybody has ego. We are hardwired to have ego. Um, and what ego really is a form of protection. Some of you have heard me say this before, but it's our nervous system um, allowing ourselves to protect ourselves. Okay. Ego can be defensiveness, it can be excuses, it can be um, jealousy, it can be all those kinds of things that kind of pop up in a situation, and our nervous system baseline goes from here to here, and we're suddenly like, oh, we're driving and that guy cut me off, and then we're like angry and we're like, oh my gosh, like that jerk or whatever, probably worse words than that. But that is ego. Okay. So the difference between ego and dissolving ego is living our life through a place through our heart or our soul, depending on what you believe, and that genuine, vulnerable, love filled place. Okay. And so of course, we need ego. I'm not saying we don't need ego. We do need ego because it is a form of protection and it is kind of our like little alert system that our nervous system is like, whoa, something's not right. Something's not right. Okay. But if we always are living through ego and allowing ego to make all our choices, and we're always listening to that loud voice in our head that is ego, and not that smaller voice sometimes that's like, okay, the situation doesn't need me to react like that. Our nervous system is always going to be in above our baseline, either um, lower or higher than what our baseline is. And when our nervous system is not at a baseline, what happens is everything else in our body is affected. Our hormones are affected, our thought patterns are affected. Um, our body, like our muscles are tense, those are affected. And so, really working on that framework of figuring out when ego steps into your life and when it's protecting you, because there's always a difference. Is it protecting you and you actually need protection? Or is it protecting you just because That's the pattern your brain has formed from childhood. Okay. Um, so we're going to grow together today. Okay. We're going to grow a little bit. I love growing. I love learning. It's like one of my favorite things. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is set a goal for the session. Um, the second thing, we're going to talk about reality that's currently happening. And then our options to achieve our goals and our intentions for this session, and goals and intention in our life. And then we're going to talk about the way forward. Okay. All right. So let's get into the good stuff. All right. Goals. What is your goal for this session? I really want you guys to think about what your goal is for this session. Is there a current situation that's bothering you? Is there a repetitive behavior that you know always comes up? What is your goal for this session? Okay. Next, what is your main focus on self sabotage and why do you want to work on it? Okay. Or I mistyped that, but that's okay. You get the drift of the slide. Why do you want to work on that right now? And then I want you guys to list your top three um, goals, or your top three self sabotages that you do to yourself. And I want you to share them in the groups, okay? Either in the school community or the Facebook groups you're in, okay? Those are important. And the reason that's important is because I know a lot of you don't like to talk in those groups or comment in those groups, but I can't tell you how important it is. One, because if you're feeling that way, somebody else is most likely feeling that way. And it adds value and it adds confidence to their situation to know that somebody else also feels the same way as you do. The other reason for it is it helps to actually anchor when you put yourself out there just that little bit. It helps to start anchoring what you're working on, and your subconscious is going to work for you to help you align these different things with you. So it's really, really important in our groups to comment, to support each other, to build that community with each other. I know it's hard and I know it's a vulnerable place, but growth happens from hard things we go through. Okay. Okay. So let's just kind of like think about our goals and kind of explore some things. Um, what patterns do you have with self sabotage, right? And then visualizing successes. When you visualize successes, do you have that little ego voice in your head that that is sorry, I'm getting interrupted for a moment.
Who's first? It matters who's there first.
Okay. So sorry. Okay. So, when you visualize success for yourself, whatever that may be, it could be in your personal life, it could be in your career, it could be in your confidence levels, it could be all sorts of things. When you visualize that success, do you get a little voice in your head that is ego popping up saying, oh, yeah, I mean, that'd be great, but you probably can't do this, or list 10 different little things that would deter you from it? Um, I want you guys to really connect deeply for your purpose, because this is what transformative coaching is all about, is really having that deep connection with yourself. Um, so, some patterns of self sabotage. The first step in doing that, a lot of people I don't even think realize how often they self sabotage themselves. They're stuck in this place of ego most 90% of the time, and they don't even notice different reoccurring behaviors, as small as they can be, that are actually hindering your progress. And that's so important to really start recognizing. Okay. Um, for the people that are consecutively late, and it's like they just can't get anywhere on time. That is a form of self sabotage, right? And there's always an excuse behind why they can't get there on time. for those people that like go all day without eating and then they're like, "Oh man, I just didn't have time." Okay, well, there is time. There's always time. I have an extremely busy schedule and I'm very regular with my eating. And on days that maybe I didn't pack my lunch, that is a form of self-sabotage. I 100% admit that. I was dinking around probably reading or listening to an audiobook and too long in the mornings and then it's like rushing to get through. And even though I'm doing things that are good for me, still taking that 5 minutes to pack my lunch or whatever is still a form of self-sabotage. Okay. Um, so recognizing what's hindering your progress and recognizing the impacts they're having on your journey and on your life is huge. So that is a that's a writer downer, right? Just write it down. Um, as you start writing these down, you're going to start seeing and noticing all sorts of different forms of self sabotage and how the ego comes up and makes it okay to do. Okay. So, the other thing that's important to do once you start recognizing those patterns is I want you guys to really start envisioning what it looks like to start dissolving those patterns and what that outcome would be if you were to achieve some of your goals, um, achieve some of your successes, um, which will help you to enhance your motivation and your clarity around what those patterns are and what a difference it would make if you didn't have those same patterns. Okay. We don't like to think in those terms. And it's not because a lot of people go down that rabbit hole really quickly of feeling um, unsuccessful or like a failure. And that's not where we want to go with that. Okay. Because you really need to think about this is the way your brain has been wired for so long. And so it's not going to be an overnight transformation to get there. Okay. So then once we visualize what it would feel like, what it would look like to start removing some of those patterns of self sabotage, I want you guys to really deepen your understanding of what your core values and who you are as a person and your purpose are, and start aligning patterns to your goals. Okay. Aligning your patterns to your purpose. So, if our patterns right now are negative and self sabotaging, what would happen if we started creating patterns that actually supported where we wanted to go and we started breaking those patterns? Okay. And we're going to go over some of this. I have some different exercises for you towards the end. Okay, so reality. What is our reality, right? What is the reality we're living in? Who creates that reality? Is it just, well, I'm stuck and like this is my reality. I'm like super busy and I work all the time and my husband doesn't help out or the world just sucks. What is reality? Real, like, what is reality? Okay, so let's explore that a little bit. I am a big believer that reality you can create, right? Your reality is created from the inside out. Okay. So when we start changing our inside, our outside reality will actually change. It will not change if we're allowing our outside reality to define who we are on the inside. Okay. So let's see where you're at right now. So, what's your total distress rating? I would say most of your days, most of your week, most of the hours of your day, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your distress rating? 10 being you are about to have a massive meltdown. You're just like, can't even function the majority of your day. What is your distress rating? Okay. One being you're calm, you're serene, you're feeling love and light and happiness, security, safety, all those things. Okay. So the next thing in your reality that we need to understand about reality and understanding that we create a reality from the inside out is automatic negative thoughts, or for short, we got to identify your ants, right? Nobody likes to think about ants, but guess what? Those ants are running through our brain probably 70% of the time, unfortunately. Okay. So I want you guys, again, and I think it's on your worksheet, I really want you guys to identify those automatic negative thoughts. And I want you guys going forward after this training, I want you guys to really, on a daily basis, like when those little automatic negative thoughts pop into your head, like write it down. Don't put emotion to it, just write it down. That thought went through my head because then you're going to start catching them, right? We don't want ants running through our head, so we got to catch them all. Okay. Okay. And then when you start developing that list of your ants, well, where did they come from? Where did they actually come from? Because those automatic negative thoughts are constantly going through our head, but they started somewhere back in our past. Okay. So try to like take some time with this one. Um, some of you won't come up with it right away, and that's totally okay. But it's something to kind of keep in the forefront of your mind, because if we can get down to where the root trigger that initially happened that caused these automatic negative thoughts, this is where we can start breaking those patterns of self sabotage and actually putting in pattern breaks where we're rewiring our brain, which is super cool. Okay. Let me look at my notes really quick. Um, okay. Next, we're going to do, well, actually, I put these slides backwards, but let's actually do this. We're going to do some breath work exercises, okay? So, breath work is so awesome. Um, it can facilitate letting go of self sabotage patterns, support your personal growth. It can calm your nervous system. It can literally do a pattern break of negative thinking. Um, and so, it is so important to do. It's something you can do anywhere and everywhere. And even if it's like you go use the restroom, you're having a stressful day at work and you just go to the restroom and you just stand there and do, a couple of minutes of breath work while you're in there. It will definitely make a huge difference in your day. Even if you just take a couple deep breaths and you're in a situation, you walk away from it for a moment or whatever's going on in your head, it's going to help to break that pattern. Okay. Um, when you do breath work, you want to try to breathe in like pure light, source light, life source light, right? The kind of love and light when babies are born, right? That just amazing, or you're on a beach, whatever it is for you, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that it feels powerful and it feels full of love and it full of light. Okay. And then you guys are going to empower your choices when you do that breath work. Okay. So we're going to do these exercises at the end because I really want to actually take some time to explore those. Breath work is one of our options. I've got the slides backwards. So exploring our options. So exploring, whoa, I'm going way too forward. Okay. So exploring our options. So breath work is one of the ways that we can create new responses in our nervous system and in our thought patterns. Okay. Um, so some different alternatives you guys can explore for breaking those self-sabotaging habits, patterns, and ants, all that good stuff is you can identify new responses, behaviors to reinforce positive habits moving forward. Okay, so I want you guys to we're going to talk about pattern breaks, but we're going to do some pattern breaks to help you guys reinforce and start changing the neuroplasty of your brain. Okay. Um, and then we want to reflect on successes. Um, the smallest they are. Like literally tomorrow or tonight or whenever you watch this, the next time you catch an ant, that's a success. Celebrate it because you're going to catch more. Okay. Really focus in on all those little good things when you catch those things because that is huge. You have lived X amount of years and never have been doing that in this light. Okay. And then fostering better inner dialogue is super important. So as you catch those ants, start rewiring that dialogue in a more positive light and something that feels light to you rather than heavy. Okay. Um, it promotes understanding um, and giving yourself grace. It promotes self love, which is so important, um, especially for transformation and getting where you want to go with your goals. Okay. Um, Let me change slides here. Okay. The way forward, we're getting kind of towards the ends of my slides a little bit, but we want to do, here's just some ideas. Seeking support, that's really utilizing groups, utilizing connections, utilizing people that when you're around them, it feels really good and they're supportive and encouraging to you. That is super important. Even if it's one person or one group you have on Facebook or somebody you follow on Instagram, get that stuff coming up in your feed. Seeing that stuff, seeing positive things, that is all support to you. And that is going to help that inner dialogue. Daily affirmations or intentions, utilize those. Really start bringing those into your daily life, even if it's just in the morning on your morning drive. When we say those out loud, and we set our intentions out loud with a positive affirmation, it really starts to release some of that negative thought patterns. Okay. Practice, you guys. I cannot stress this enough. Um, Make it a priority, and it doesn't have to be a ton. Make it a priority 5 or 10 minutes a day. You're just practicing some breath work, you're practicing catching those ants. Make it something that you do every single day because action is the key, right? You can sit around and you can like listen to all these things and you can listen to this coaching session, you could do one on one coaching with me. But if you don't have action and you don't have follow through, you're not going to have transformation. You're not going to have change. And you're going to continue to let the outside reality choose your path rather than creating reality from the inside and creating your reality that you want. Okay. So we're going to talk about some breath work, different things. So the first one, I want you guys to close your eyes, inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. You're going to hold for a moment, and then you're going to exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. Let your breath be smooth. This does take practice. Smooth and steady, steady. This is ocean breathing, okay? It's like a wave coming in and a wave rolling back out. When you do this type of breathing, you want to repeat it for about 3 to 5 rounds. What it's doing is it's signaling your nervous system to bring it back down to a base level. A lot of people aren't even at a base level when they think they're at a base level. Um, but it's going to cue your nervous system to kind of calm itself. And as you do this, think to yourself, or you can say out loud if you're by yourself, that you're safe, you're present, and you're ready to shift. Okay, so that's centering your breathing. It's really, really helpful. Something you can do really, really quick if you're in a situation. Um, and then what you guys are going to do is you're going to raise the awareness and you're going to release. So as you breathe, I want you guys to notice where your body holds tension. Okay. The science between this does tell us that body stores unresolved stress patterns, trauma in your muscles and in your fascia. And then it creates mind loops and it makes them repetitive. So those ants are those repetitive negative thoughts. And it's stored actually in your muscles, in your fascia. It also, trauma can cause sickness in our bodies and get blocked up in there, all that yucky stuff, especially if you're never releasing it, um, can cause a lot of issues in our body and in our mind. So those ants, those loops, that's self sabotage. That is ego. It's trying to protect us, but from what? Most of the time, we don't need that protection. Okay. So it wants to keep you in survival mode, fight, flight, freeze mode. And that is never good for our bodies. Okay. It raises our cortisol levels, it imbalances our hormones, all sorts of things, lowers our serotonin levels. Um, so then when you continue to breathe, breathe into that area that you're feeling that tension. Okay. And breathe into that area that feels heavy or tight or just tense. And on your exhale, I want you to imagine releasing that old story or whatever negative thought is coming to your mind or self sabotage pattern that's coming to your mind. That is an old story that you don't need anymore. And as you breathe, breathe in new, healthy dialogue and breathe out like you're clearing away the dust of those old patterns. Okay. So, pattern breaks are something that are really, really helpful when you're catching those ants or when you start recognizing your self sabotaging behavior. A pattern break is literally just what it is. It what happens is you have created all these different self-sabotage methods from the time you were very, very young. Because your nervous system is like, oh, that kind of feels uncomfortable. So yeah, let's go this direction. Okay. So what a pattern break is, it's either visual, physical, or it can be spiritual, and it's going to break the pattern that your brain has, right? It's like your brain's on this little highway going down, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, like, I don't like that. So I'm just going to go down this path. And then I'm going to go down this path to avoid this because I'm trying to keep you safe because, ooh, I didn't like that emotion. It didn't feel good, right? Or whatever it may be. And so a pattern break is just like, whoop, wait, I can't go that way. So, hmm, well, I need to figure out a different way now. And so that different way, when we put in a pattern break, is actually rewiring the gray matter in your brain. And so it's so important to start putting those pattern breaks in and rewiring so your brain takes a different path, so you can have a different response, so you can break those self sabotaging behaviors. Okay. So, um, pattern breaks are very, very, very important. So, let's practice this technique of resetting and breaking those patterns. We're going to use some box breathing. So we're going to inhale for 4, and then you're going to hold for 4. You're going to exhale for 4, and then hold for 4 more. So think of it like a box, right? In for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Okay. As you move through that rhythm, you can say either out loud or in your head, I am capable, I choose clarity, I release sabotage, I welcome success. Okay. Or whatever feels good to you. Okay. It could be like, oh, this pattern's coming in. Okay, so I'm going to do some box breathing and I'm going to reset that dialogue because what that's teaching your brain to do is this little negative thought came in and now all of a sudden there's a break in the pathway and they're like, oh, hold on, we got to go this way. Oh, yeah, that feels a lot better. Okay, I'm going to go this way. And so that's what we want to teach our brains to do. So let that breath and words imprint into your nervous system. So you're teaching your nervous system that it doesn't have to go from 0 to 10 or 0 to 60 in whatever those situations are if you're doing some pattern breaks. Another form of pattern break is like shaking your body, somatic shaking, just really kind of like getting your body moving, shaking it all around. That's a really good pattern break. Dancing, humming, singing, um, or tuning in to your higher self or God or the universe or divine source, whatever is comfortable for you guys, whatever you guys believe in, and just taking a moment when you get that and asking um, for them to help you release that self sabotage thought and fill you back up with love and light, safety, vitality, all those good things. That all those things can help break these patterns and start rewiring your brain to help lessen the amount of self sabotage we have. Okay. So, doing a fire breath would be another one for breath work. And if you guys have never done breath work, I highly encourage. It's an empowerment breath, okay? So, if you feel ready for activation, we're going to use a short, powerful exhales, right? So, exhale through the nose, which is like, think of a fire dragon, like a fire breath, right? This energizes our solar plexus. And I know we haven't talked about chakras or anything about that, but chakras are little energy bundles that's actually measurable, scientifically measurable, that go through our body. We have seven main ones. We also have ear ones. We also have um, more in our auric field. But our solar plexus, I find so interesting because the solar plexus, it's just above your belly button, and it relates to so many different things. It relates to your gut health. Relates to your digestive system. It relates to how you feel about yourself, your self esteem, how you talk to ourselves. So, really activating that diaphragm, which is right where our solar plexus is, and doing that fire breath can really make a difference. Okay. So, this will energize your solar plexus nervous, energy area. It's the center of your willpower and your confidence, your solar plexus is. So you're going to take a deep inhale and then begin with short, rapid exhales through your nose, like pumping your belly and that diaphragm muscle with each breath. And you want to keep it steady and rhythmic. Okay, rhythmic. Anyway, so you take a deep inhale and then, okay, do this for 30 seconds and then release it with a big sigh. Okay. Grounding sometimes will help. You can think of kind of grounding those breaths and like pushing them into the ground as you breathe. That's really helpful. Um, it kind of takes some practice. Sometimes you feel a little lightheaded if you're not used to doing this kind of breathing. If you start feeling lightheaded, make sure you just return to deep, steady breathing for a moment and then go back to it if you can. Okay. So that fire breath is another good pattern break. It also helps to release those negative thought patterns. Okay. So one of the last ones is I want you guys to place your hands both on your heart and on your both your hands on your heart, sorry. I want you to really just kind of close your eyes, and I really want you to just feel your soul presence. Okay? This is your heart center. It's another chakra. It's really important. A lot of us, we function our daily life through ego. We don't function our daily life through our heart center. So I want you to take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, say silently to yourself or out loud, I trust myself. I choose to step forward. I release all negativity and negative patterns of self sabotage. Inhale again and fill yourself back up with love and light. I want you guys to notice how your body feels now after doing that. Does it feel light, more open? These breath works exercises They all remind your nervous system that you're in a safe place, that you're safe to release old patterns, that it doesn't have to go into hypo or hyper, which again, that will be another training, but um, there's like a window of tolerance um, where our nervous system should be. Hyper is above that baseline, hypo is below it. Maybe it's backwards. Anyway, um, but most people are living in one or the other, and it's long term affects your health in so many different ways. Okay, and so we want to get back into that window of tolerance eventually. Um, so practice your breath work. Really use that worksheet to identify those ants and start catching ants, guys. I want you guys catching ants. I want to hear how many ants you guys have caught um, over this next week because it's really important. And then going back and identifying where those came from and use breath work to really start breaking those patterns or something physical, right? Um, and I want you guys to reflect just after watching this training, just after doing some breath work. Um, I really want you guys to like acknowledge and anchor by writing down how you feel afterwards. That's anchoring it, it's solidifying it, it's helping it to retrain your brain. It's very, very important. Okay. I want you guys to also write down one insight or shift um, that you're trying to take or that you felt. And then remember, self sabotage is not who you are, right? We have little identities that we create for different situations, but that's not who you are. But you can recognize those identities and you can change them into a different identity. Okay. It's just an old pattern. That's all it is. It's an old pattern, and patterns can be broken. And that's the exciting part is we can break those patterns and we can rewire those patterns. Um, and you guys all have the power to do that. But it does take action and it does take practice. It's not an overnight thing that you guys are going to do. Okay. So I we skipped some slides, but that's okay. Uh, so we kind of did talk about your chakras and that. So I'm going to upload all these slides for you guys too, if you want to go through them along with the video. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it's helpful. I really look forward to hearing from you guys. How many ants you caught and where you guys figured out those came from, because those are so exciting. Um, Again, if you've never coached with me, there is my contact information. Please follow me on social media, share. I am on a mission to help everybody feel better, to help everybody have the best wellness they can. I It's my purpose and it's my calling, and I just love it so much. I love helping and healing people. So, I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. Practice that breath work. We'll chat soon.